On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. We stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama James. Today is the Wednesday, 2nd July 2025. The program comes to you Monday to Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for a comprehensive look at the daily events, the latest information, in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews and exciting surprises. To be part of the show, call us on 0911-022-986. Send for us a text message on 0913-986-986. If you can't access the radio, we are also on Facebook, X, YouTube and more. You can also stream this broadcast live by logging to that's our website at www.iradio.org. Coming up. Well, did you know that over 14 million people worldwide could face death by 2030? Well, in regards to this, we have activist Jacqueline Nasiwa responding to the report.
We pay taxes monthly to the government, and we want to see that the taxes that we pay is reflected in the services that we get and the people of South Sudan get. So that means we need also to do an audit of the revenue collected. We have had money collected, but we are also not seeing the money trickling down to service delivery. So this is a call for the government now to start looking at the resources which are available and make sure that these resources cover up the gap which is created by USA pulling out. And by the way,
all right, that was Jacqueline Nasiwa, founder and executive director of that Center for Inclusive Governance, Peace and Justice here in Juba. Well, let's now take a quick break. When we bounce back, that's when we shall officially kickstart the show.
Basma le Radio Hagiga, I Radio, in Takum fi Junub Sudan.
Welcome back from the break. Let's now turn our attention to that urgent issue concerning foreign humanitarian aid, where it is projected that over 14 million people worldwide could face death by 2030 as a result of Donald Trump's decision to drastically reduce U.S. funding for international humanitarian efforts. This was further underscored by an announcement in March by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, stating that Donald Trump's administration had cancelled more than 80% of all programs at the U.S. Agency for International Development. Research published the Lancet Medical Journal indicates that a third of those at risk of premature death are children across 133 nations. The study also estimates that USAID funding has prevented approximately 91 million deaths in developing countries between 2001 and 2021. In response to the report, Nasiwa Jacqueline, Executive Director of the Center for Inclusive Governance, Peace and Justice, urged South Sudan Transitional Government of National Unity to stabilize the country peace and justify its economy base. I recently spoke with Jacqueline Asiwa to clarify what this report signified for an economically struggling country like South Sudan. More in this following interview.
Yeah, I think I read that article in regards to the U.S. Funding cut globally, and for me, my interest is particularly in South Sudan. Cutting this funding is putting also our health at more risk as citizens and as civilians. So that means that those who have been getting the support in terms of the free medical services will have to now pay. And majority of the people, they are poor and they cannot be able to afford even food on their table, and let alone paying for their medical services. And the other issue is that USA has been instrumental in terms of advancing good governance and also rule of law. For example, civic education programs that we had, the dialogues around governance issues, around transitional justice, were all funded by USA majorly. So that funding, that funding cut is also going to affect how we are struggling to strengthen our governance system as a country, and also for the larger populations who are affected by the conflict in terms of their pursuit for justice, in terms of their pursuit for support, and especially supporting survivors to be able to get medical referral pathways, but also to be able to access justice. Of the employment, USA is one of the largest employer in South Sudan, where most of the South Sudanese got employment. And now cutting of this funding is affecting them as individuals, their immediate families, and also their extended families being dependent on paid jobs by USA. So there is a serious issue, and I think probably there should be a change in policy to be able to improve, and for USA or US government to consider supporting third world countries and especially the vulnerable communities.
Well, activist Nasiwa, if you look at this particular report, that it will affect of health and at the same time put the life of that children at risk, and these are supposed to be the responsibility of the government of South Sudan to take care of their citizens, despite the Trump's administration really took the world by surprise. What urgent intervention would you recommend them to put in place?
So I would say that currently South Sudan is battling with economic crisis. Since our independence, we have not been stable in terms of both political stability and also economic stability. And as you know, our economy depended a lot on the oil which flows through Sudan. And now with the crisis in Sudan, it has affected our oil flow multiple times. And that gives the huge gap in terms of the revenue generated from the oil that could support in terms of the gaps created by the U.S. pulling out. However, I'll also say that this is a lesson for the government to put up proper accountability and transparent processes for the utilization and usage of this money, which is not necessarily the oil money, but also other non-oil revenue which is generated to be utilized properly. For instance, as the organizations and also looking at some NGOs and civil societies, we pay taxes monthly to the government. And we want to see that the taxes that we pay is reflected in the services that we get and the people of South Sudan get. So that means we need also to do an audit of the revenue collected. We have had money collected, but we are also not seeing the money trickling down to service delivery. So this is a call for the government now to start looking at the resources which are available and make sure that these resources cover up the gap which is created by USAID out. And by the way, it could not be USA pulling out. Globally, we have seen also the challenges. We have seen funding cuts from other countries and organizations as well. So that means that where there's a gap left, the government has to come in handy and put strict measures in terms of the exploration of our resources and also their utilization.
Yeah, in your speech, you equally recognize the challenges the government is currently facing, where there's also reduction in oil, that's price, and citizens are really suffering. This will also jeopardize, the report will jeopardize the current situation even by far. Now the question is, what strategies can be implemented to justify South Sudan economy beyond oil dependence?
I think what we need now is to stop all the violence that we are experiencing as a country, so that people can start doing agriculture and people can start doing other kinds of income generating activities that will generate for them money and that will sustain themselves. Currently, people are not cultivating a lot because of the crisis. They cannot be in their villages. Most of the people are displaced. So we need peace so that people can go back and start doing farming. And then also we can attract investors when there is peace. We have a large tourism sector. If you go to maybe Eastern Equatoria, if you go to parts of Greater Upper Nile, Tibor, we have a lot of tourist attractions, but because of the insecurity, they are inaccessible. So that means that we are really not doing bad if we have peace, and that means peace should prevail. And I say that let us dialogue on some of the governance challenges and political challenges that affect the country and the people, so that we have peace, and then the economy can grow on its own without necessarily depending on oil.
Lately, we have seen the government also shifting their focus to the Arab nations, where President have just returned from his official trip. Now, what ways can South Sudan use the opportunity with some other international stakeholders to avert the current economic hardship people are going through, despite reports of that Egypt demanding the government of South Sudan, Qatari Bank are also demanding the South Sudan, and plus some other international loans that South Sudan need to pay. What other ways or alternative you are seeing in place as an activist?
I'll just say welcome back to the president from this trip. Yes, it's good to look for opportunities outside there. But I think also maybe what we can do is to look at those opportunities. What are the strings attached? And is it beneficial to the country and the people, or we are being exploited? And I think this requires a strong team, and that most of these multilateral contracts need to be reviewed, and also by our parliament, so that we know like what states we are empowering. And this state will have an impact in our future and also the generations to come. And that means every opportunity that we tap into, we need to study it carefully before we so that we don't end up a country which is stuck with debt, and then we cannot be able to clear them, and will become hostage of multilateral investors and companies.
Jacqueline Nasiwa is the founder and executive director of the Center for Inclusive Governance, Peace and Justice, talking to me in the past hour. Over to you now, dear listener. As you have heard that over 14 million people projected worldwide could face death, that's by 2030, because of the reduction or cuts on the international humanitarian funding. And these are the countries that are still developing, including that's South Sudan. And the study happened in that 133 nation. Now, what's your take on this particular study that it will also affect that's mostly children? What do you think about this report, and what urgent intervention need to be put in place to avert these current or looming humanitarian crisis. 0911 986 986. Share your thought with us right here. مستمعين في كل محل فرصة ليك عشان تصل معنا توال في 09 واحد واحد ولا 22 986 قال أكثر من 14 مليار نصل بعدين بجا مود بعد من هسه لحد في 2030 ليه في خطوة كمان حكومة بتاع US شيلو عشان كيف منعوا wale gata ita biyalga khadamat al-kanmun gad bigedim wasata munazama isim USAID fi alam kakul wade bi ashir kalis be 133 dawal junuba Sudan kaman abaru fogo wa kaman mude bukun ziyada ben iyal في دول دل بدأت بقول شنو طبعا أنا بذكر منظمة بتاع USAID قال سايدو أكثر من 91 مليار ناس من موت بدأت في دول تانيين القاد بقدموا في زمن بتاع سبعة من 2001 لحد في 2021 فوسط نسيوا وكما يشيلوا خطوة سنجيبوا سلام وسلام في كل محل يلا نمرة 2 بارو كمان برا من بترول وكما يشيلوا خطوة عشان يعينوا زي دهب زي موية زي وايلد لايف عشان أجادل بارو كمان يجيبوا قروش وسايدوا ولقدموا خدمات في جنوب السودان لمواطنين بتوعهم. فاتصل معنا توال في 09 وايد وايد ولا 22 986 يا مولو بذاب شنو أول مخالمة في خد أي راديو أي راديو
الو
أيوة
مدرما مساء الخير.
مساء النور يا أستاذ كمال.
تعرف any decision هو عنده advantage and disadvantage. disadvantage زي أو قرار بتاع ترام ده بيأثر قال مع دول النامية وإيال بيموتوا وكده. advantage بتاعه لأنه don't rely on شنو في كلام بتاع دعم. This is what he put it the priority, then he take that decision. And he doesn't study it well that it will affect disadvantages. Then the life. He may do it gradually by encouraging people. Lakin to want it to stop like that, exactly one cannot know what is happening in his mind. It seems to be all best and commercial men dealing with money.
نعم أستاذ كمال تما بقدر كلم كمال لزولا بقدر وديلة مساعدة قال عملوا برا طبعا ده قرار بيتوفى نعم بيجا للجنوبين يعملوا شنو عشان كيف خدمات وصول لمواطنين بيتو
ما كمان قرار ما يتبتشوف the affect case كان شديد يتعمل توالي stop like that يتبتشوية شوية لهذه كي تقارف الناس ده كمان to know that في حاجة جراحة زي so that the help بتاعهم ويحول يصلح الاقتصاد بتاعهم.
نعم شكرا خالص أخونا أستاذ كمال. أستاذ كمال بكلم نعم خطوة الادمنستريشن بتاع دونالد ترامب شيلو وكان صدفة لكن ده كمان بدور جنوبين من نوم. Well, I've got a text coming in from that James Siata that good evening I Radio, watching you live from Wow. I Radio is back on air after 7 days of air. Thank you so much, and people of Wow, you are most welcome. And we also equally thank our technician for responding quickly and the administration right there. Away from Seattle, we have Gordon Salah that he is enjoying watching the program live from that's Yambio, okay, town. And thank you for updating us. Thank you so much. We have Kor Samuel is watching us from that Bor town. Thank you. Alwak Wall Congratulations. Then Majok also is saying beautiful. And apart from that, we have Marsuk Simon. He is watching us from that's Jebel Kojur. Thank you. Then BA Daily is saying good evening, I radio. I'm watching you from ABA. I hope that's ABA administrative area. Do not hesitate also to text for us a message on that's our Facebook page telling us where you are watching us exactly from. Another quick caller. Hi radio.
Yes, Madrama. Good evening.
Good evening, Reverend.
Yeah, in Jabal, yes.
Welcome.
So, my brother, thank you. My brother is something very shocking because when government seeing it is citizen dying with poverty or anger, Madurmajan is number one. IMF have right because when they see the country who is not following what they want, they could have to cut their funding because this is the first priority in the whole world. So Sudan, we don't have any curse. We don't have any curse from God that every year we fight. It is not there. So let we know that, let our government know that citizens believing in them. As they say, even now, people are dying, with hunger, because there is many people living without food here in Juba or in every corner in South Sudan. It is because of there is no peace. Insecurity is there. Before we are in struggle, in 83, 84, 85, everybody have his own work with your small cow and your small goods, even your chicken. You are there with them and you are surviving because there is no any person who killing people like the way that our citizens killing themselves. Let the government do this. Number one, let them disarm all population in South Sudan. One. Number two, let them bring peace to South Sudan so that everybody should go and dig.
How can the government bring peace alone and it's a collective responsibility? You also have a role.
Yes, I heard that, but for all of we, as citizens of South Sudan, plus you, we blame our government because he's the one who has power. And for example, now I cannot go to harm my clan. So that my clan have been gone now. I cannot go to my clan and harm them and take the harm from their hand because I don't have any power. Government is the one who can decide that. That's why I say that. So let the government disarm the population of South Sudan so that we will go back to cultivate. Because government, when you get your independence, not every person go and work with government.
No.
You have to have your private work so that you have to survive with your children.
Sure, thank you.
And thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. All these reports are coming, and I believe this time around no one will convince you that you are still a young or small country. Very soon we shall be gearing to that 14 years of our independence. Now that over 14 million people worldwide could face death by 2030 as a result of Donald Trump's decision to drastically reduce U.S. funding for that international humanitarian efforts. We are asking you, how best can the government and citizens contribute to avoid this situation? We have Akumjo Lual from Kampala. He is also watching us live. Thank you. And then Benson Ijo is saying, hi, good evening, I Radio. I'm watching you live from that Sagudele too, and thank you for the update. Then we have Buluk Dit. He is saying, Yellow I Radio station. I'm watching you live here in Nimule, South Sudan. Keep that conversation coming and call us on 0911-22986-986. What can be done? I Radio. I Radio?
Oh.
Yes.
I radio.
شكرا لكم كثير. أو صحيح يعني أنا كلام بتاع ترامب أنا بشوف كلامه صح.
ليه صح؟
ليه صح؟ عشان ما الناس يتعلم الشغل. أنت مش كل يوم داير مساعدة، حتى لو أخوك مساعدة دي مش قال كل يوم. ربنا ادانا مخ، ادانا جسم كويس، ادانا أي حاجة أجهزة تشتغل تلقى. لكن يا أخوي أنا داير نقول بصراحة الشيء اللي خلى البلد ده تعبان الطمع يهو جابت المشاكل دي كله. الكراسي والواحد داير يشبع يهو جاب المشاكل ده. لكن المهم في الكلام ده كله أنا بيقول نحن دايرين السلام. إذا في السلام كل واحد بيكون في محله. طيب أنا بيقول مثلا من زمان في السبعينات الثمانينات هل أمريكا كان بيساعدنا؟ نحن كنا بنزرع في السلام في البلد، بنجيب حاجاتنا، ولا كنا بناكل في يد بتاع يوغندا ولا تنزانيا ولا بوروندي. الشيء اللي أنا داير إذا حكومة صحيح عارف الناس اللي بيحكم عارفين إنه هم عندهم روح وطنية، يا جماعة خليه يجيبوا السلام في البلد. لأن السلام حسي ما في. أنت المزارع إذا عملت لك محل بيجيب واحد ثاني يأبقاره يدخل ينتهي من الزراعة بتاعك. وكلام بتاع أخوي الجبال يتكلم أول حاجة السلاح ده خليه يشيلوا من الناس المواطنين. كان دي جماعة ساكر الحسب حيمين من الحيوانات في الخلق وما بيخلي الزرع. المهم في الكلام ده كله يا أخوي السلام هو اللي بيجيب الجعن الحسن. احنا تعبانين فوق ده كله من الحرب. ولو الحرب كان وقف أظنه ما في آية مشكلة. آية واحد برجع في حلم بتاعه بيزرع بالسلام، بينتج بالسلام، بيسوق بيجيبوا حقه في سوق بالسلام. الكلام ده نحن ما دايرينه. وشكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. Still on our Facebook page, we have Wani Lagos. Thank you for updating us, Brother James. South Sudan needs to wake up. It's a wake-up call for all Junubin. I'm watching you live from Therekeka. Then Christopher, he wants us, of course, to update him on our topic of discussion. Thank you for joining us, Christopher. And we are talking about that's a projection of that's over 14 million people worldwide that could face death by 2030 as a result of Donald Trump's decision to drastically reduce funding for international humanitarian efforts. So what can you, the government, civil society do to avert this situation? And research published that this indicates that a third of those at risk of that premature death are children across 133 nations. Meaning, when we talked of that third or developing countries in the world, South Sudan is also included. So what's your take on this? Couple of calls right here. Hi, Radio. Yes.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening, Joseph.
Thank you. My brother, the statement or the decision of Donald Trump is not bad. It's bad to the people that they will be victims, those who are beneficiaries. But for our leaders in Africa, it is a lesson, it is a training to them, because you need to be leader. You must know what are you going to do to your people. But right now, when they cut their funding, there is a crying. For me myself, you have to sit down to see what you have in your country And you have to set with relationship. If you know that there is a country who they are powerful and they have to you have a relation with them, they can support you. This is another way that you can do something to your people. Right now, when we have in health sector, we have people trying now to say we don't have medication in the health sector, and we have the Ministry of Health. What's supposed to be done there? It is the National Ministry of Health to return the request given to the Council of Ministers, and the Council of Ministers to approve to that budget, and then later on they address that sector. To the education, also the same has to be done. To the economy, the poor economy in the country, it is matter of the strategy planning, because we have a poor economy, and worsen, it is issue of security, because if you have security, everything can be simple. But if we have a poor security, everything will be poor. My suggestion to our leadership, if we have a leadership, let them bring peace into the total peace, which is the lasting peace. If there is lasting peace, there will be lasting security into the grassroots. Food security will be in place, and all these things, they will be in place. And the small budget that we use it for nothing right now will be known that will be for the services of the nation. Because right now we have money, but people don't know where the money goes for. And this is the reality, and this is the impact to the country.
All right.
These people work for the lasting peace to make a single government, not this huge government in the national level. And at the state level, there is a small government without contributing for services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was our regular caller. In the names of Joseph here in Monuki, is still on that's our Facebook page. We have Kilele John is saying Yellow Gems. Kilele from that's Longiro Payam of Lopa County, Eastern Equatoria State. In the first place, James, happy Independence Day to all South Sudanese and everywhere or wherever they are listening to us. Although we are in a bad situation in the country, let us respect July 1st for our historical day. Thank you. Then is Stephen from that's Panijar County. He's saying the absence of US aid is now causing a lot of problems like raiding of properties within the area or killing or losing of life right there. Thank you for sharing your message with us, and let's keep the conversation going after this commercial break.
The Ministry of Health is conducting a commemoration of African Vaccination Week with a new vaccine introduction of pneumonia vaccine, targeting all children aged between 6 to 14 weeks. Take your child to the nearest vaccination center during the African Vaccination Week or Big Catch-up campaign.
Good morning, Mama Alice.
Good morning, Mama Ladu. Where are you coming from this morning?
I had taken Ladu for pneumonia vaccination at the health center to protect my child against pneumonia and meningitis. He was also vaccinated with other routine immunization vaccines at no cost. Is baby Alice already vaccinated?
Yes, she was vaccinated last month. Does she need to be vaccinated again?
Yes, she needs to be vaccinated with at least 3 doses at 6, 10 and 14 weeks to be fully vaccinated, immunized and protected against pneumonia.
Really? I just heard from afar that there will be a vaccination campaign during the African Vaccination Week, but I was not keen enough to get the details.
You know, Pneumonia vaccine is effective in preventing pneumonia and deaths in infants and young children. This vaccine has just been introduced this year, 2025. A lot of children were not vaccinated. Some even travel without being vaccinated. I wouldn't want to see any child get pneumonia.
I didn't know that pneumonia is very serious, that it can cause meningitis and even death.
Yes. Pneumonia is a life-threatening disease caused by bacteria or viruses. The signs are cough, fever, chills, and shortness of breath, which may be accompanied by chest pain when breathing or coughing. Children who survive may experience long-term effects on lung function and increased risk of respiratory conditions like asthma.
Asthma or lung function complication? Oh, that sounds scary. How can I protect my child from this dangerous disease?
The only way for your child to be safe is when your child and all children in your neighborhood are vaccinated with pneumonia vaccine.
I will do that immediately. Where can I take my child for this vaccine? Hope it is not late.
No, you are not late. Pneumonia vaccine and all the other routine vaccines are available at all government health centers in your areas. Tell your neighbors with children between 6 to 14 weeks to be vaccinated.
I'm glad you told me. I will take my child immediately to the nearest health center for pneumonia vaccination.
Bring your child to the nearest health center and protect them from pneumonia and other vaccine-preventable diseases. This message is brought to you by the National Ministry of Health with support from WHO, UNICEF, and South Sudan Women in Medicine.
Itabasma le Radio Hagiga, I Radio, and Takum fi Junub Sudan.
Nam ena takon fi junuba Sudan muslimin fi kulu mahalo ita duma hanina setagad bi tabitu alfiza radio wa barnamij bita Sundown. Nam wasata qarar wala khatwa la rais bita Amerika shilu wa Donald Trump ashani gata musahadad al-kulu biyamshi le alam kakul قال أكثر من 14 مليار الناس بجمود مناسي لحد في 2030 وده بكون في بين 133 دول في عالم ككل وكثير منهم بكون أطفال فايتابو مانا بالضبط يعملوا شنو طبعا في 131 في 133 دول جنوب السودان بارو كمان فوقو فايتابو مانا بالضبط يعملوا شنو 09 وايد ولا 22 986 Hi radio.
Hi Madrama James.
Yes.
I'm Joseph from there.
Marhab. Tasel min wen Joseph.
Ana Joseph min Juba.
Marhab.
Ay taban reis America de made gurus America. Zoltani ve gurus to ogalo mader saadu ba surugal saadu. Zol gurus to Turamin the right to say that I don't want to give donation to the whole world and to eradicate Mon America de Saudi Alam de Kamara mon support Alam de Kamara with billions of dollars. There is now the time is already there that America gal enough is enough. America gal guruzi kama ganna bikore gal shunu. Anina mama mutajin musaada, anina vibele tena ka Junub Sudan, anna mutajin salam, anna kambike salam. Anna biga bodi akil kama la alam ala jumutu bejande. Lakini kan salam ma bi Junub Sudan ni Tumana zata anna lazim kaman bimutu minnas dimna nas algi depend le gurusha America danda kaman bimutu la hadi kaman yom tani nas bijaja algija jibu salam lakini kan salam maja imana anna indi na right kaman anna bimutu la anna we are the beneficiary min gurusha America de America kan gata fund anna one of the countries will be affect the gurusha America de
shukran kuna Joseph Tombeina fi Juba. Via our Facebook page we have David Maja Nicholas is saying, Yellow Eye Radio, I am watching you live from Juba. The report which was released is true and will badly affect most African countries because they are depending on foreign aid. That will be a wake-up call for African government. I'm suggesting the government of South Sudan to stabilize the security of this country. Another quick one. Hi, Radio.
Hello, يا رادم الخير.
مساء النور.
نشكر ربنا يا أخي أنت جيت فتحت تاني مالكم شال كان كيف.
والله ده كان حاجة بسيط كده وأنا برو بشكر ربنا سان كيف أي راديو رجع في واو.
ربنا قوي شديد والله اننا كنا قلنا سبيش انه يا رب عزم.
نعم مشكلة دي كان في واو لكن ما جوبا هنا.
ايوه مع انسان في واو ذاته ما ورانا.
مرحبا دين سانتو.
انا شايف كلام بتاع رئيس الامريكا ترامب انا شفته ما بيعصر لانه ربنا يخلق ابن ادم في الدنيا هنا اكل مسؤول من ربنا لا ربنا يوجعه في الدنيا هنا ما درام هذا درام زاد عار نفسه بموت 200 ممكن بالليل ده بموت ما يكون سكران يتكلم كلام الراس بتاعه. نحن من معلومنا معتمدين على انفسنا. المساعدات جاء في زمن بتاع الكراس في زمن السودان تنزعت في حاجه اسمه إقازة لكن من زمن داك ما في حاجه اسمه إقازة. الناس كانوا عايشين ببسيط الفيل وربنا يوقع مباركه. فالناس ما يهموا ما يتكلم ما يكسر كلام ساكن. درام ده ما ملكه عشان يجيب رسالة يقولوا يا اخوانا حاجة ده تموت بعدين. وما كلام ده برجع لنفسه ذاته. ما هو اصلا بموتوا عشان كلام جو ما عنده 100 حاجة هسه ولسه بموتوا. الموت ده المسؤولية بتاع ربنا كان قال يومك تمت انت بشيلك. فكلام بتاع الرب ده كلام بتاع زول مجنون والناس ما يستقل بيه.
نعم شكرا. نعم ده كان أخونا دين سانتو من واو. دين سانتو بقول كلام بتاع ولا قرار بتاع دونالد ترامب ما يشيله وبالضبط بقول شنو ناس ما من دبارو. أي راديو
الو يا راديو.
نعم
بطلب جيمس
سلطان
يا اخي قرار بتاع درام ده
اي
كلي بيل يشرب باكو براو في مال تاني كانوا عشان كلي بيل يشرب بتاعه اولا نانا يا بطلب جيمس كجنوبيين هنا المطر بتاعنا بنزل ل 12 شهر. اوكي اذا مطر بنزل 12 شهر الزراعه بكون كثير. النانا متاجين السلام زي ما كنت قبل شويه اتكلم كويس. خليه يكون درس للناس المشاكل هسه بقول يا جماعه انتوا مشاكل في شنو؟ كان كلام بتاع دولار ده يا ده وقفوه. كان كلام بتاع ياتو السلطه ما في اندرام السلطه هنا في جوا عيني. كنتوا السلام بتاعكم وتعالوا جوا عيني واقوى الزراعه السنه دي يعمل زراعه ويعمل حاجات كثيره جدا. احنا هنا في الجنوب ما بتاثر فينا. ما عندناش الدول العربيه والدول الافارقه ما عندهم مال بتاع خروجوا يا تعبانين. ما عنده بقار يكون تعبانين. ما عنده كرفو يكون تعبانين. جنوبين عنده كرفو جنوبين عنده بقار جنوبين عنده غنم جنوبين عنده زلف ويندو ما يكون تعبانين. بس ما تحكي كلام بس يا مثلا جيمس.
نعم
بقول للسياسيين بتاعنا في مشاكل وخلينا يخرجوا بس. كلام الدرام ده بعدين على كيف ولا مكاني للناس قاعدين ما علينا.
شكرا جزيلا. ده كان أستاذ جوزيفينا في جوبا. راديو
هاي راديو.
أيوة Poroda.
How are you?
Poroda, you went quiet. I don't know. Did you travel to America, Walishino?
No, I'm around my friend in one of the villages in South Sudan.
Welcome.
You do? Yeah, thank you for bringing that topic, my brother. For me, I do give my comment as Trump is a president who want the world not to depend on one another, want everybody to work hard. That's why he decided to cut all the funds where USA. Now, Trump is a very good president because he has given the green light. He said in 2030, our children are going to die with hunger. That is a very good information. People should prepare themselves. As some of our brothers has been telling them, saying that, Let us work hard. Let there be peace. Oh, for sure, let there be peace in South Sudan. Let people work hard. Let people cultivate. Let people care for their cattle. They should know how to use the product of their cattle. Their cattle, how they can sell. This US dollar will come by itself. We know US dollar has captured all the world in buying other things. If you want to buy something from abroad, you cannot use South Sudanese pound. You use dollar. That is why Trump is a bit proud. Otherwise, if people work so hard by agriculture, people will not die. For sure, if you go to certain villages in South Sudan, the 10 states, if you move all over, my brother, some community, they are depending on relief completely. Their children look healthy. They are eating fresh from their garden. That is what Trump wants the Africa country, not Africa country only, the whole world. You want the whole world to not be dependent. This is a very good signal to all the world. And if you come back to America themselves, America are working so hard really in everything. They are working hard night and day. They are working. At this moment, in work night and day you cannot experience in America. People are working so hard in agriculture, in the heavy industry, light industry, where they are working hard and they are getting more. That's why they are supporting with other worlds. Now they want to stop that help. It is a very good signal. Let people not worry. Peace should go back. Let them bring peace, and they should go and cultivate. They care for their cattle. They know how to manage their resources. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Oproda, for sharing your thought with us. iRadio. Chance to more lucky callers right here, and then we call it a show. Let me talk to this. iRadio. iRadio.
Hello.
Emmanuel Panadol.
How are you?
Tamam.
Shukran. I appreciate the President of the Republic of America.
Why?
You know the reason why I'm saying I appreciate the President of the Republic of America, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a good man. Donald Trump needs everybody must work. Donald Trump needs all over countries. Everybody must participate. The hajal kwesi Trump. Yani dual there it defend mini haja al guwadi. Lakin asan bistaka le nefsu maafi. So haja kwes the Trump or their ear country kelokun independent. The nefsu ita ya buogi le nefsu para ita ya bitala akil vitak ita ya bitala dawa ita ya bamun iya haja vitak. Kan business sake ita ya ran business sake.
Na mushkila si Emmanuel Panadol fi zol almaindu zatu walaka besaisa lo yamshi min kinderu kutu bizira toted wale gata faham wale shunu yala ban marad hayato bodru peda ya mulu shunu ashan kev junubin kaman bagda rishtaka zayal Trump gat bonusu
ay made arigdege iya jol ide iya jol ide wokoren iya haja kulu rabbana kala ko jisum bitagi his family shokol mo I know asan ke vita will go akil fogo kurdu they are number 1 jira ya number 1 fi alam kulu kana fi kutu jira number 1 manatu jian bi kun mas masakil bi kun mas o guad al tamam kalam sila na kudu tet ya haja kulu na kudu tet ana mutakid bele pitana ma fi jian fogo ma fi ya haja fi jaman ana mujekir fi jaman ya brother ما في حاجة تانية يعني في جيبه تمام لأنه ناس جمان داقي كرجو ما في حاجة تانية هنا UN ولا كلام فارغ ولدي فوت ما في لا دي بس يا دي في حكومة خاصة دي في يعني نجاي نقال ولدي فوت بيساسونا ما في ولدي فوت سو أنا أقول لكم قال ناس كلهم في سلام ناس كلهم في سلام على حقيقة ناس كلهم جت جمان نبيلجو راح كويس وانا بيلقوا اكل تمام وصحه فتانا جيو نديف بلد فتانا بيكون احسن بلد لكن كان ده ورا سلاح boom 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 yani abi demerna ujurubi abi dakhal fi biu pitana ujurubi abi dakhal fi biu pitana. Shukran.
Now, for now, Emmanuel Panadol should be my last caller. And before we wrap up this discussion, let me turn my focus to that our Facebook page. Kelele John once again is saying that he is so happy to hear that President Salva Kiir has returned from that United Arab Emirates. Now, these are some of his expectations. One, he need the president to address the issue of that the dollar rates. Then number two, drop in that oil or fuel prices within the town. And then third one, president should also look into the issue of that security, address all the criminal activities within the country. And finally, he is also expecting that promise to happen within this independence period, especially infrastructure of the country have to be that's launched without any layman's. Kilele, once again, thank you for sharing your expectation with us. As you have heard, His Excellency President Salva Kiir is back from that United Arab Emirates. Wani Lagos once again is saying South Sudan has been ranked as top poorest country in the world. Yet we have oil, gold and other mineral resources, but the money has been pocketed by some elites instead of building our nation. And that we cannot, of course, officially verify. But once again, Wani, thank you for sharing your thought with us. With that, dear listener, we have come to the end of our conversation, and we have been taking a look at the projected over 14 million people worldwide that could face death by that 2030 as a result of Donald Trump's decision to drastically reduce U.S. funding for that international humanitarian efforts. And this will happen, according to the research, within 133 nations, and the premature death will be among that children. And many of you have shared in your action plan. I've been your host, Madrama James. Thanks a lot for sharing your opinion with us.